Hey there folks, Rel here. There was a short clip in the weekly moment montage posted February 18th that showed me flying backwards in a scythe. A lot of people were wondering how I was doing it or if it was a glitch, whatever. So today we're going to explore what that actually was and show you how to do it. I want to first disclaimer this video by saying that I am far from a skilled pilot, especially in dogfights. Most people literally fly circles around me, leaving me with not much else to do but die or crash land. This is why ESFs have primarily been used as a transport vehicle for me, instead of something really meant to inflict harm. There are other channels that are dedicated solely to flying, or at least primarily to flying, like LMS TVX, who has a whole series about the different maneuvers you can do and exactly how to do them. I strongly recommend checking them out. But since the question has been asked enough in the comments here, I figured it might be useful to share what I've learned, or at least what I am learning. So today we're going to take a look at the reverse maneuver, which is essentially flying backwards. The reverse maneuver is important not just for dogfights if you can pull it off, but for ground combat as well, letting you consistently readjust and align yourself for another attack or avoid enemy fire. It allows you to create distance very quickly while still facing your target, and that's definitely the biggest draw to this maneuver. So here are the simple steps to pulling it off. Use your air brake, wait for gravity, and then thrust or hold spacebar. It sounds simple, but here's what you need to know to make it work. You have to be holding down the air brake, which is the S key by default. This will align your thrusters vertically, enabling you to thrust upwards instead of forwards. And the maneuver can only be done, to my knowledge, at low speeds and after gravity starts to really pull on you. That said, if you're flying at high speeds, you need to figure out a way to slow yourself down to this point where gravity becomes prevalent. In addition to the air brake, there are a few ways you can do this. You can turn yourself upside down, which is essentially throwing yourself to the ground, or tilt yourself upwards, which eventually does the same thing. These are good ways to manage your reverse maneuver, especially when you're starting it from a hovering position. You can also bank hard, which will slow you down a good deal, and this is the hardest for me to pull off. Usually when I'm in a fight or with someone pursuing me, I kind of just flounder around a little bit while trying to slow down, instead of really doing it in any intelligent sort of fashion. But I've seen other pilots pull this off and it definitely works for them. Just remember that you need to be holding down the S key to perform the maneuver. And aside from just being that it's the air brake, it also forces your thrusters to point downward, which is a great visual indicator which shows you when you're about ready to reverse. Scythes, of course, don't have visible thrusters that shift orientation, but there's also an audible cue that might help you out. When you're in third-person view, there is a specific low, decreasing rumble of air that will let you know when you're primed for the reverse maneuver. There are a few different wind sounds that happen seemingly based on your speed or what's going on, but this is the one you want to hear. And again, you can only hear this audio cue when you are in third-person view. Shortly after your thrusters lock out into an upright position, you can engage the maneuver by holding the spacebar or by using your afterburners. It's also worth noting that scythes have the strongest air brake and descend the slowest. Reavers have the weakest, and while the difference isn't amazingly drastic, you'll definitely feel it. Also, hover airframes make this maneuver much easier to pull off, because you not only get a better air brake, which is incredibly important, but you also get a boost to your hovering power, which is extremely useful for maneuvering. I do use this maneuver a lot in my scythe, but I actually feel it's easier to pull off in a Reaver. I'm not sure whether it's a combination of the attributes associated with the fighter. For example, Reavers have the strongest upward thrust of any fighter. They also have the lowest speed conservation while banking, meaning they lose more speed than other ESFs while rounding corners, so they generally fly heavier. It might just be subjective, but I know a lot of other people feel the exact same way. And because I know the question will be asked, I'm using the hover airframe rank 1 on my scythe and the dogfighting airframe rank 1 on my Reaver. So to recap what we've learned, use your air brake, wait for gravity, then thrust or hold spacebar. And that's about it. Like I mentioned, I'm not an amazing pilot by any stretch of the imagination, so knowledge in the field is somewhat limited. but given the amount of people wondering about this specifically, I thought it was worth sharing. If the video was interesting or helpful, please feel free to like, subscribe, and tell your friends about the channel. And if you have any helpful advice, please put it in a comment below so everyone can see. And awesome footage of you pulling off the reverse maneuver is always welcome, so post a video response so others can watch it as well. Thanks very much, folks. Rel signing off.